everybody. Welcome to This Week in Android. I'm your host, Ashley Esqueda, and as always, our lovely, fantastic
Are we lovely?
co-hosts.
Yeah,
you guys are lovely.
Yeah, you have to retract lovely.
I
We're not
have, like,
lovely.
I can
Especially
say
him. Look at him. He's not
badass,
lovely.
my badass.
He's basically
co-host.
Wolverine.
All right, yeah, pretty much. I'm like, seriously, you got the leather jacket.
Yeah, he's not lovely.
You know, yeah, lovely.
He's many things, but lovely is not.
It would not shock me if your skeleton was made of adamantite. As always, co-host Mark Jeffrey.
Pleasure to be here.
Have you.
Good to
And
see you.
Jeff Ammons.
Yo.
And you're wearing your glasses today.
I am, yeah. My contacts were like right out,
Yeah.
so I'm running on very little sleep. And we also have, not in studio, but in our hearts and via Skype, Dave and Lane from the Android App Show. Hey guys.
Thanks. Hey, how you doing?
Good.
Dave and Lane are back on the show.
I know.
How many shows?
Exciting.
I was really excited to have you guys back on. I was like, I gotta have Dave and Lane on this week. Like,
Yeah.
we got a lot to talk about. So, but okay. First things first. We promised this last week, so we're gonna show it right up front.
Yes.
These are some amazing.
These are
we'll show
great.
you one. We'll show you. It's a Korean Android commercial. So, are we ready?
야, 안드로이드 뭐 먹은 거? 어머, 대박. 완전 역시. 야, 입 벌려봐.
안드로이드 세상 모든 스마트를 열광시키다. 한마디로 스마티.
What was that?
I feel like I need to go buy a phone. I'll be right back.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much so you know how much I love Japan.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I'm like, that's pretty much the greatest thing ever to me. I'm
It's
like,
hilarious.
oh man, what a great career. And there's like a couple more too. So like you can look them up on YouTube, and they're these like fantastic.
Do we know any of the translations of like what they were saying?
I don't know if any of our viewers can translate for us. That would be great. Feel free to Twitter any of us and tell us what they're saying, because I would love to know. Especially, I really like the lady poking it with the stick.
Yeah. I'm a little confused.
I'm
like
trying to
a
figure out like
rodent
the
in her
plot.
house.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out like the plot of the
Yeah,
the
like-
arc of the commercial.
But
I'm
that's
not-
what I love so
I'm at a
much
loss.
about. That's what I love so much about like a lot of Asian like commercials like that. Like they don't make any sense. There is no story.
There's no
Yeah,
sense. Even to
it's-
them, I don't think it makes sense to them. but no.
completely
That's what you would
nonsensical.
think, but no.
Yeah,
No,
you
even they're
would
like,
you
no,
would think
Same thing in
so.
Thailand. No, it's best not to ask.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah. So if you would like to go catch more of those, you can find them online, I'm sure. Okay, guys. So it was phone leak week.
It was Phone Leak Week.
Like I think like 5 different phones leaked in every OS. Like every major OS had a phone leak. We had, so let's talk about the first one, because you guys also do the iPad Tech Show.
Yes, we do.
So let's talk about, and of course we've only gone 15 seconds, but as I was telling Mark before the show, we cannot ignore Apple because they do what they do very well. Like, and so to ignore them would be to ignore a large part of Android's competition. So we have to talk about it.
Yeah.
I think he's good.
Yeah, some people get a little irritated about the fact sometimes you talk about
crazy.
Apple, but it's just
Yeah.
it's unavoidable.
Yeah, and a lot of people, like, you know, you've got an iPhone, and I mean, the thing is I wouldn't mind having an iPad. I'd use it. I wouldn't
Our
mind
viewership
having.
just went down.
I wouldn't mind having, I wouldn't mind having USB ports and flash support, but
Yeah. Jeff can't go there with you, unfortunately.
I know
but-
Joe's like.
I mean, my view on it is that we have to be agnostic about the technology.
Right.
And, you have to basically have an open mind to both sides of the equation in order to really understand the full equation. So.
Yeah, exactly. So let's talk about Apple's 4G or G4 or whatever they're saying it's called. For those of you who've been living under a rock the last week, some poor Apple employee
Oh, that poor dude.
went to a bar for his birthday, apparently, and left a brand new prototype iPhone in a secret iPhone 3G case.
Yeah, because they didn't want anyone to know that it was actually a 4G
To
iPhone,
capture
right?
a picture of it in the
Yeah.
wild, I'm sure.
Yeah, it kind of reminded
left
me
it-
of like the V's with the human skin on. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, exactly. It's Cylons. So he left it there, and then some guy picked it up, thought it was a little fishy, that it looked weird, realized it was something different, tried to return it supposedly.
Yeah.
Tried to return it to Apple, and they just gave him tickets,
Yeah.
and then ended up selling it to Gizmodo for $5,000.
Right. Gizmodo then ripped it apart. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, exactly. I was gonna say, I hear some laughter. Maybe.
Yeah, the whole story is a little fishy.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Because
So okay, so people
Yeah.
don't buy it.
I don't buy it, not even for a second.
If I found a phone, the first thing I would do is email the person on the phone from their email address. I mean, they're going to get that on their computer,
Right.
even if the phone's turned off
wait.
or runs out of battery.
David Lane, when you say it's fishy, do you think Apple intentionally leaked The phone? You think Apple's behind
No,
this?
I don't know. They wouldn't. They've never really done that, but
It doesn't sound like
think-
them. That's what I
Yeah.
keep thinking is that it can't be Apple because this is just not Apple's MO. In 30 years of being Apple, they've never done something like this.
no, I think it's more just somebody knew what they had found and didn't necessarily want to return it.
Yeah, well,
Right.
that I believe. Yeah.
And it was somebody's birthday, and I'm sure he had that phone in the bar just showing it off to everybody.
I don't know about
Wouldn't
that.
you?
Ladies do
No,
love the iPhone.
I wouldn't.
I mean,
Yeah,
I
see,
guess,
well, and
like,
see, for me, like if I wouldn't be showing it off to everybody because I'd imagine, as far as we've seen, Apple having pretty ironclad NDAs, especially from people who are engineering for. I think this guy works on the technology that makes the phone part of the iPhone run.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's no way that he could be, running around a bar, drunk, going, "Oh, hey man, this is the new iPhone 4G. It's
So
gonna
you
be
think
so great."
you think that's BS? You think that?
You know what? I'm gonna go out on a limb and say I think it was a calculated leak by Apple. I know you guys don't agree with me.
I agree.
Really?
You
I don't
agree,
know.
so-
I
Okay, so
think
now
I would
why?
Be more I'd be more suspicious if it was like May 19th, when there's some big Android news or a big competitor. But I mean, really, what was
But that's
going
the
on
thing,
this week?
The Incredible got announced officially, and pre-order
you-
started the same day that the phone leaked.
All right. So to be clear, you believe, or at least you suspect strongly, Apple engineered this leak in order to squash news of the Incredible.
Yeah, I think that they were. I'm not saying that they're like, oh my God, we're never going to sell another iPhone.
Right.
But like, I think that they were like, okay, basically, we're at a point where people are seeing phones that are doing so much more than the iPhone that we have to give people a reason to stay with AT&T, or else they're going to jump ship like a bunch of rats.
And it kind of makes sense because they had the guy who works on the baseband, how it connects to AT&T, and obviously he had been drinking a lot because that doesn't work at all on the iPhone.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
So it's not going to hurt their business or their reputation.
And here's so I have some things written down because I read the story about like how it was found and all this stuff, and I know everyone's like, this is the iPhone. Isn't this the iPhone show? I know, but I just I'm like kind of mad. Like I am a little bit aggravated at this because I was really excited about the Incredible being announced finally, and the pre-order started so fast. People were really excited about it, and then all of a sudden, here comes the iPhone 4G. Just steals everyone's thunder, just ropes it up, drags it around for a couple miles, and then leaves it for dead in the desert. And the thing is this kid is described as a fairly junior employee of the company. Mm-hmm. Why did he need to have that phone outside of Apple's, citadel? Like, why does
he was the one who tested the cell phone radio. So he's trying to improve the call quality, so you have to travel outside and
He's right.
test it out.
Yeah, that makes sense. But I mean, given the ironclad hold that they keep on their products, I don't know if it's a slip up.
Well, if they're
I
bolting
don't feel like
down
they make those
iPads
mistakes.
to desk, then I think that they probably would put a tether on him with the iPhone attached.
Yeah, well, and that's the other thing. Why didn't the phone have GPS on it? If they knew people were taking it out of the building, why didn't it have a GPS on it? They already remotely killed it. They remotely killed
remotely
the phone.
killed it. I remember reading
Ironically, in iPhone 4.0 right now, in the development thing, the mobile me, like the location stuff, doesn't work yet. So that's one reason
Oh,
they
nice.
couldn't track it down.
But like the thing is like if I were carrying that phone around, I'd be treating it like nitroglycerin in my pocket. Like I'd be so scared somebody would know what it was, somebody would take a picture of it.
Well, I
somebody
wouldn't take it
would
into a
freak
bar
out.
while I'm drinking. I tell you that much right now.
Yeah.
It'd be in my car still. It wouldn't be in the bar with me.
Right.
Well, he was a junior employee.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I'm sure. I mean, and then a lot of people are saying, oh, well, why would Gizmodo have leaked it? It's such a niche website. Why didn't it go to Engadget? But that's the thing, though. You can't control who gets a hold of it. And I don't know that, I think Engadget would have done the same thing. Any other major tech blog, CNET, Engadget, they would have done the same thing. They would have bought that phone from that guy in a second if he had gone to them.
Yeah.
Maybe he just reads Gizmodo. Maybe he prefers that website. But it
Or maybe
just
they were the
seems-
high bidder. We don't know.
Maybe they were the high bidder.
And with some of the legality of buying a phone that you found that you know is someone else's, Engadget actually passed up the story.
Yeah, because it's considered stolen property.
Yeah.
Technically, yeah.
Because he knew it was somebody else's property. He saw the guy's name in Facebook
he
before
knew.
the phone got remotely killed, but somehow couldn't manage to write it down and find Facebook somewhere else.
Yeah.
Like that seems
Yeah,
a little.
that sounds fishy. I think that part of the story is fishy. I completely agree there.
So yeah, and then the other thing that really strikes me as odd is that Apple the last time when that iPod leaked a while ago, they fired off cease and desist letters to everybody. I mean, they were furious.
You mean the iPad or the?
No. This was a while ago.
So the iPod back.
Yeah,
when?
it was like way back.
Okay.
It was like a few years ago. But they fired off C&D letters to everybody, and
was
they
the
didn't
Fat
do
Nano.
that. They basically sent an email to Gizmodo, and they were like, "Oh, that belongs to Apple," like blah blah. And the guy said, "Okay, we'll give it back if you acknowledge in an email that it's Apple's phone, so that you can prove that, so that we have solid proof that this is your phone."
Right.
But it might just be a prototype, and there is something to be said for putting out multiple versions of a prototype out to confuse people who see it in the wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think we're all pretty sure the buttons and stuff on the side, that's not how that iPhone's going to look when it comes out.
I hope not.
Yeah, I mean, the specs are pretty impressive, though. Front-facing video chat camera, so they're doing front-facing.
Well, I think everyone expected that.
I think everyone expected that. They're saying that there's a camera flash again. They've got the back being flat, and they're talking about it being probably ceramic, so that the radio signal gets through
zirconia.
better.
It's cool stuff.
Yeah, really neat stuff. So, I mean, I don't know. I will put on my tinfoil hat and say that it's a conspiracy, and that's fine. Everybody cannot believe me and tell me that I'm insane, but that's what I think. I mean, it would be an amazing marketing ploy by Apple to keep people on their iPhone 3GSs until 4G comes out.
So you're an Apple truther is what you're trying to tell me.
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Well, how many people are going to be buying a 3GS right now? Because Apple, I mean, they just released their information for their business, and they've been doing record numbers this quarter. And why would they go out and leak a phone and ruin all their sales until June or July when the phone comes out?
Yeah.
Well,
that's the one thing that kind of confuses me.
The people who care about leaks are the people who are going to buy the newest phone anyway.
Right.
Like my grandma's not going to, she may buy an iPhone, but she's just going to buy whatever's in the store.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, true. And everybody pretty much knows that, there's a given schedule for Apple. So if you're kind of waiting for that, you know when to wait for it.
Well, see, and that was sort of the last thing that I had thought of was that basically they knew that people, because like for me, like I was expecting a new iPhone in June. I was like, okay, we'll see the new iPhone in June. That's fine. And I think a lot of people have gotten really complacent about it. Like no one's as excited about it. I mean, like there's a lot of people still really excited, obviously, like the evangelists, Apple evangelists, about, who are like really thrilled, every year about a new iPhone. But on that same note, like for somebody like me who's just sort of agnostic about handheld devices, for me, it's just like, okay, well, I'm sure Apple will unveil their new phone, and that's fine. Yeah. And because I'm already expecting it, and so it seems to me like that would be a way to sort of shake things up. But I don't know. I still think the guy should have just emailed Steve Jobs, because you can. And they're like, hey,
look what I got.
Phone. Yeah, like,
hey,
I got this phone. Take a little picture of it and be
Steve.
like, what, hey, hook me up. Like, I think I need a really top-of-the-line, like, MacBook Pro, and I need all this Apple stuff, and I will give you your phone back. And I'll sign an NDA saying
Steve,
that it doesn't
meet me on the
exist.
corner with $1 million.
Exactly.
No cops.
$1 million.
No guns. Come alone.
No beat. So, but yeah. And then, we'll talk about other phones too. Dell had actually a whole line of things leaked this week. One of them being the Dell Thunder, supposedly running Android 2.1 on Snapdragon, 4.1-inch OLED display, 8-megapixel camera, on-device image and video editing for easy sharing. And they're talking about Dell's Stage UI, which is a little bit like HTC Sense UI. Yeah. But they're saying that it looks like it's a mixture of that and Motorola's Moto Blur with like tighter social integration.
The slide-out portrait keyboard looked really cool too.
Yeah, kind of like the Palm Pre.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a vertical slider. So, very cool form factors. There were a couple of people saying like cool form factors, and I really like that they had said unlimited online storage space. They're going to be storing cloud. It's all going to be cloud supported for these phones.
Wow.
So really interesting that they're going to actually go that direction as opposed to just continually expanding memory or card space.
That makes a lot of sense, though. That makes an awful lot of sense.
Well, everything's going towards cloud as people use multiple devices.
Well, this week in cloud computing, we reported on a facility that Apple is firing up, which is enormous, and clearly shows where their heads are at in terms of where this stuff is going. So,
yeah, iTunes streaming, I think,
Yeah, or just everything in the cloud.
Yeah. I think one of the problems Dell's going to have, though, offering this service on the hardware is it's not that big of a leap to think that Google's going to start pushing into that as well.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
I'm sure that'll become part of the apps, some kind of cloud storage. And then there was also I want to say the Lightning, which was the Dell Lightning, which was a Windows Mobile 7 phone. And so like a whole bunch of, and then like a tablet got leaked, and it was just leak week.
Leakapalooza.
It was Leakapalooza this week. Like phones and tablets, and on every single OS, which is yeah, exactly. And Jay Sprake on our chat room says leaking phones are the thing right now, and it works. Here we are talking about it. They're playing us. We're being played by the man.
Did Bill Gates try to leak his phone?
Yeah, exactly.
I can't remember what it's called. The Kin.
The Kin, and the Kin 1 and 2.
I think he left it in a bar
things.
and nobody picked it up.
Yeah, like some 12-year-old picked it up and was like, "What is this piece of shit?"
No, but they did have their sexting issue with their commercial that they leaked this week.
Oh, really?
No, I don't know about this. Tell us about this.
Yeah, I haven't heard of this.
It was a commercial they did for that phone, and it was all about like kids taking pictures under their shirts, and like it was all hip and like,
Oh God.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
Can you
That-
believe it?
Microsoft.
That does not seem like a smart viral campaign.
No,
Putting
not
some
really.
skin in the game.
Oh man,
Yeah.
that is just wow.
Moving right along.
Yeah, yeah. So we'll do the news, but we'll chat with you guys while we do the news.
Before we dive in all the way to the news, Snaptic actually tweeted me before the show. And they have a thing called the Snaptic Challenge. I actually didn't get a chance to read all the details, but if you go to snaptic.com/challenge, you can find the details there. But what they did tell me is that the winner goes to TED. And TED is this awesome conference where all these big
They gave
marketing
away
bucks-
Nexus ones.
Yeah, if you don't know what TED is, go look that up. You'll be impressed. That's pretty,
You wanna go to
conference.
TED.
So the winner gets to go. So I would enter this contest for sure if I were in the if I was meeting the requirements on their challenge. So I would
Very
definitely
nice.
look into it.
Snaptic.
Okay, so to the news. An iPhone that boots Android. See, we can't not
so you
talk about
can't
the
ignore
iPhone.
it.
I cannot talk about it.
Even if it's running Android, you can't talk about it. Wouldn't you love that? Isn't it like
It
like
is a little bit of
possessing the
a
iPhone somehow?
victory.
and-
It's like a blow the belt.
Yeah, I would think so. I think you'd like
A little
that.
bit, yeah.
All right, so it's been announced that a member of the infamous dev team, Planet Being, managed to port Android to the iPhone. So they
The older iPhone.
Is it just the older one?
The
I'll just go
old-
this here. Okay.
Yeah, I tried doing it on my 3GS and it didn't work. It said
Yeah, he said he's still working on the
refund
3GS. He said it would be, is the original iPhone, and he said should be pretty easy to port to the 3G, but he said it would take a lot more work to get it to 3GS.
Got it.
I know, sorry. That's
I
what
still
you get
want-
for adopting new technology right away.
See, I
I
still
just
want the dual boot.
That would be so
Yeah, see,
awesome.
I'm thinking the same way.
Yeah.
The
See,
dual
that's-
boot is what we all want. That would be the coolest.
Dual booting, I mean, a lot of my machines do that at home.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, but you got no back button on the iPhone. I mean, how would that work with most apps?
Well, he
Yeah,
set it
yeah.
up. He remapped a lot of the keys, and he did, he did a bunch of different stuff to remap and everything. I sent him an email, so I'm going to try to get him to talk on the show about it. So we'll see if
Yeah.
he gets back to me.
You just
You're
shake
out there,
the phone
Planet
and it goes
Being.
back. That was
Call me.
Yeah.
just kidding.
Cool. Okay. Next story. Sprint is giving away the Evo 4G to 10 Premier customers. So Sprint is inviting its Sprint Premier customers to blaze across America with its first 4G phone, even before its official release date. So 10 lucky Sprint Premier customers will take home an HTC Evo 4G with additional prizes, including a job as an Evo 4G blogger, a 4G trip, or just plain old money. Winners will also receive a free year of service and a connection faster than most people's DSL. That's what caught my eye.
Oh, well, 4G is fast. I mean,
Yeah.
if you ever used an overdrive,
Yeah,
quick.
that is fast.
Yeah.
it ain't no joke. Do you have your case? Hey, I just want to tell everybody. Because Engadget, I think it was Engadget, posted a story that said that case didn't look anything like the picture, and they put up this ratty piece of junk. And that is the case. That's the actual case, and it does look like the picture. So for those of you
beautiful.
considering it, do not listen to the Engadget story. That's the real thing right there.
Yeah, this is the case that Sprint gives to people for free when they get Overdrive for their iPad.
Yeah.
And
And it
it's
has a little
incredible.
spot for your overdrive in the front there. See, yep, right there. And then you put your iPad in the little sleeve. It's great. But
It's nice, magnetic and everything.
Yeah.
yeah, that's fantastic. And
It's got a little magnetic closure, so it snaps shut.
nice.
It's really cool.
yeah, it's a great little thing to carry on your overdrive and everything.
Yeah.
But Sprint, I'm just going to get really easy for you. You can go ahead and mark off one of your winners and give it to me because I'm going to enter because I'm a Sprint Premier customer and I can do a lot of things really, really fast, like update my social networking and all this stuff. You have to write like a little 150-word essay.
Oh, really?
On
Make it
what
a
you
little
can
essay?
do really fast, and I'm like, okay, this could get a little crazy.
I entered two.
Huh?
I entered two. It's a good one.
Yeah, see, and
You've
I'm
got
like, I got to
competition.
enter this contest, but I got to think of an angle.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm gonna enter, and I'm gonna win one of those Evos. It's gonna happen, and if not, it doesn't matter anyway because I'm just gonna get one the day it comes out. I'm weak. I'm weak-willed.
Yeah, no, you said that you were technology agnostic. I saw those tweets. You're
I
getting
know.
one of the
I
Evos.
just it's for me. It's like Sprint only has two other Android phones. That are even, like they have a Hero and the Moment, and they're both still on 1.5.
Yeah.
I can't.
Fragmentation.
I need
Here
the
it is
most
again.
up-to-date thing. Like I can't have. I can't do it. Makes me,
no.
especially not after playing around with this.
Yeah, we haven't really talked about that yet.
With this.
Now, what is
Oh my
this?
goodness.
This is my HTC Incredible.
And how did you get that?
HTC was kind enough to send me a review unit.
Look at you.
And yeah, I've been having a lot of fun with it this past week, and I actually had it last Friday, and I couldn't tell
couldn't
anybody.
tell anybody about
and
it.
I felt like I was gonna burst. I felt like my head was gonna explode.
So
And-
nice.
So we'll be talking about that later.
Yeah. I have a review video later in the show. So
Very good. Okay, so next story. Remember last week when we said Android, Flash will be on Android devices in the second half of 2010?
I do.
Well, it turns out they will actually be in the first half. We were just kidding.
oh,
So,
yeah, just kidding.
So last week we reported that Adobe Flash 10.1 for Android had been delayed until the second half of 2010. Turns out we were wrong, or everyone was wrong, actually.
Yeah, I guess so. Well, I guess everybody kind of took it wrong.
Yeah, well, apparently the confusion arose when the Adobe CEO, I'm not going to say his name because I'll never say it right. Okay, I'm going to try. Shantanu Narayan?
That sounds about
I
right.
think that might be right. Basically, he said that we should expect Flash in the second half of this year. But he was referring to new devices that have it pre-installed, not widely available. So we still should be seeing.
Plug-in,
Yeah,
we're getting
exactly.
soon.
So we should be able to see it soon. Exactly. So I don't know, before June, I guess, something like that. So
I would say around I/O. I think they're going to
Yeah.
announce.
oh, that would make sense, wouldn't it? To announce at the I/O conference.
I give it a couple more weeks.
Yeah.
Do we have an idea how they're going to release that? Is it going to? I mean, is it require a certain operating system version, or is it an app update?
I think it's going to be an app. I know that on the Incredible, there's Flash Lite. So I was able to use like some forms of Flash, but not all of them. Like if I went to a fully built website in Flash, I couldn't see any of it. But like if there was like a little plugin that didn't, like I'm not sure how it works. Like forgive my ignorance, everybody, but I was able to use like some things that were built in Flash, but it's Flash
You
Lite.
got to see all the ads, right?
Yeah,
all the
exactly.
Flash
all the
websites.
ads. I got to
I
see
saw
ads
it.
in Flash. That was real exciting for
an
me.
interview with him, and he had said that they weren't exactly sure yet on whether they were going to be integrating it with the operating system, sending it out like an OTA, or having a second, like an app on the market.
Right.
But it is limited to second-gen Android phones, so you have to have the ARM Cortex 8 processor, so the
Or higher,
Snapdragon or the Hummingbird or something higher.
Yeah. Were you gonna ask a question?
Oh, I was just going to say that it could be second half of that. If they end up doing the OS bundle, then it's going to be. We got to wait for it again.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it could be one of those, and I hope it's not.
Yeah, when we were talking about how they were saying that how Google was getting away from packing things into the OS as opposed to they were like taking out Google Maps and making them part of the market as opposed to part of the OS. So I think that I would be surprised if they bundled it in with the OS because I think that causes more problems than.
Yeah, I remember
Leafy.
this article from a couple weeks back when we talked about how they were going to address the fragmentation issue. So my guess is it'll be in that fashion that they described then, just like you just said.
Yeah.
Okay, so next story. Will Motorola's next Android phone offer 3D? So think Avatar, I guess. So basically this is coming from a patent application that Motorola filed. People noticed that there's sort of this flip cover that flipped down, almost like like a Star Trek like the old school communicators, and nobody really knew what it was for. And then they found a bit of text which basically said when the bit is flipped down on top of the screen, it would render the images in 3D. How it does that, I do not know without glasses or.
Yeah,
Well, it would be like some sort of lens.
It's a lens.
Like a polarized.
It'd be a so
cover.
polarization of some sort.
The whole point behind the glasses is that one eye sees the one polarized and one goes the other way. So I'm not really sure how you do it with just a flip screen.
It makes sense.
This is with parallax, so it bends the light waves in two different ways. So even if you're standing back and you look at it, it looks like it's deep.
Like a hologram, basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but when I read that story, I was reminded of, I don't know if anybody remembers this or what the name of it is, but do you remember those like giant white arcade machines that had that little Western hologram game? Like every time I think about it, I'm like just waiting for that. Again, very ridiculous, but why 3D? Why?
So you can watch 3D movies on your phone. You can watch Avatar.
Why not?
Why not have? Because honestly, I think we're going to get to a point where people will have like a stylish pair of polarized 3D glasses that they'll be able to design and have, like a pair of
Maybe.
pre-made.
I think the ultimate goal is you can set your phone down and turn it on, and Princess Leia will come up.
Yeah.
And it'll be like.
And say, "Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi."
Yeah.
You know,
Because that'd be pretty cool. Like
basically, that's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah.
It's a small R2D2 in a
out, but,
phone.
yeah.
That's what we need.
Yep.
Yeah,
almost
a
there.
company called Wasabi actually makes one for the iPhone, but it's horrible. It's big and bulky, and you have to have specific content for it, so it would be hard to just see anything in 3D.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, like the way I think of 3D working on a mobile phone would be like with the Evo, we have 4.3-inch screen. You go onto Netflix and you have 3 different options. Instead of just Blu-ray and standard def, you can get standard def, high def, or 3D, and you can just instantly stream it to your phone on 4G, and then you can have your glasses, but whatever.
Yeah. Okay. Next story: the 2011 Ford Fiesta to include voice control of Android apps.
Yeah.
So Ford has actually been really active, strangely active, especially with this Fiesta stuff.
Can I just say, like, did anybody actually know they were still making the Fiesta?
No, well,
or they were
actually,
bringing
I did.
it back?
You want to know why? 'Cause,
Like,
well, at least in LA, they've been having a lot of like sort of events and parties and stuff.
they've been having a lot of Fiestas.
That a lot of as Ford Fiesta, no, a lot of Fiestas, exactly. They call it the Fiesta movement. They have like representatives all over town, and they have made themselves visible in sort of the internet and new media communities. Yeah, strange. I
saw one driving down the road, and I took a picture of it and tweeted it.
Wow.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
So they're clearly targeting sort of the digerati set.
Yeah.
And
I like that, the digerati.
Have you never heard that? Yeah,
I think that's
I cannot
nice.
claim to have made that one. I was
Techerati.
kind of old at the time, but anyway. So the idea is that basically you can there's a thing called Sync App Link, which drivers access and control Android and BlackBerry smartphone apps, and basically the car allows you to issue voice commands to your Android apps, and it will basically fire them up. And the obvious ones are obviously give you directions to X, Y, Z, that sort of thing. We'll see where this goes.
Yeah, and another thing is like, it's kind of cool how they're kind of incorporating these apps in with the cars. I spoke with some people last week from Chevy about their Chevy Volt OnStar app. And you can check the batteries of your Chevy Volt and turn the charging on and off and access a bunch of stuff right from your Android phone. It was kind of cool.
It's pretty
That
sick.
is cool.
Wow.
Again, more applications of Android that I would have never thought of myself, but now that somebody mentions it, like
Actually, Ford has a developer program, and developers can grab their Ford Fiesta SDK. That's kind of odd sounding.
do they get a Fiesta to develop with?
Yeah, your car now has an SDK. I mean, it's what? Really?
Yeah, like
But
with
that's actually kind of
purchase,
cool.
you get an
Why not?
SDK. That is cool.
I want a heads-up display on my windshield.
Yeah.
That'll be the day.
All right.
That'd be
Yes.
so nice.
That'll be the day people are playing movies on their windshields.
Layar. I want Layar in my windshield.
At that
Oh,
point, my
God.
car will drive itself, and
So
it'll all be okay.
sweet.
All right, so the next story is about, once again, the black turtlenecked one.
But it's about Android
Well, it's about Android, yeah.
Porn.
and porn.
A
My two
sad,
favorite
a sordid
things.
tale
A sad
involving
sordid tale,
jobs,
right? Exactly.
Android, and porn. So the Pulitzer Prize winner editorial cartoonist Mark Fiore, his app was rejected from Apple's App Store, and everyone got all up in arms about it. I mean, this is an old story. Apple's App Store.
Well, they said it was ridiculing public figures and that it was obscene
Oh,
and all
sorry.
that. They just said no.
Yeah. So once again, so the nanniness of the App Store is on Apple's side has once again made a horrendous mistake.
Yeah.
But CEO kind of reacted to reactions to that by saying, well, if you want porn and all that kind of stuff, just get an Android phone. Yeah. And he's pretty much throwing the porn. He's trying to link porn and Android together.
Right. Do it for the children.
Which I'm not exactly sure if that's a good idea, because wherever porn goes, so goes the tech industry, and I'm not like. I mean, I don't think that's a great idea to be like, well, like, if you want to, that's why VHS won.
Well, look, Jobs is scared of Android. I think the fact that he's going to that
makes
level.
Makes him a little nervous.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that he's, curled up in the fetal position in a corner in his office crying or anything about Android. But
Not about Android anyway.
I definitely think he's keeping a very wary eye of its success.
Yeah. I think
got the lawyers
it's done
working
better
on
than
it.
I thought it was going to do. Sorry, go ahead, Lane.
I say he's got the lawyers working on it. He's not worried about it too bad.
Yeah, he learned from the little incident he had with Bill Gates that you got to keep an eye out.
Yeah, exactly. So, and like a lot of people will say, like, oh, well, if you want to keep porn off the iPhone, then you should just remove Safari. Like, you should remove the internet. Like, it's,
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going to get it, if you really want to find it, you will find it on your mobile device, come hell or high water. So,
yeah.
But as I said on my Facebook, I mentioned that quote, and I was like, that's why I don't host This Week in iPhone.
Well, the best thing about all this, though, is it's not like there's porn available in the market, and that you can't even download this porn market that he's referencing in the market. You have to go off to another website.
Yeah, it's
so
a third party.
He's like saying, hey, everybody look, the Android phone lets you install other stuff that isn't in the market, sure, but you can make your own decisions. That's a bad thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't see how that logic follows through at that point.
Well, it doesn't. Yeah, like, oh, it's a terrible thing that you get to make your own decisions. But to be fair, I mean, Apple's always sort of operated on the, we know what's best for you. Like in Mother Russia, phone uses you. Like that's that's sort of the way Apple sort of thinks about it.
Yeah, they're very much the Disney of phones.
Yeah, they control their image very well.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, I will give them every ounce of credit for that. I mean, they have done a phenomenal job of controlling their public image. It's, really impressive.
Yeah.
From a business standpoint, they've done a very good job.
All right, so next story, a tablet story that's not about the iPad. The Arco 7 home tablet is now up for pre-order on Amazon, and it costs $199.
Yeah.
So this happened already overseas last month, but if you want to go and get your own, basically Android iPad.
Your Android tablet. It's a 7-inch, so it's a little smaller.
So it's a little smaller than this.
But looks nice. I mean, it's not the greatest thing I've ever heard of. I mean, I'm sure, when HTC or Google comes out, or Toshiba comes out with their tablet version with running Android, it's going to be insane. But, for $199 without a contract.
Still pretty cool. Yeah.
Pretty nice.
Yeah, and basically the more I use this tablet, or the iPad, the more I'm like, this is for viewing movies and books and things like that. So, you know what? $199 might be just fine. The $199 device might be just fine.
I'm telling you, $199 is the magic price point for tech for a lot of, like, middle income, that's the magic price point. That's the most people are willing to spend.
Yep. Okay. All right, so next story, Google is no longer investigating the fix for the Nexus 1 3G issues and advises changing your location. Doesn't really seem like it kind of sounds like
I think it's a really nice solution there. It's very eloquent. Just move.
Just move, dude. Yeah. Stop calling us.
Stop crying and move.
Jeez.
I guess
they blame. So let's see. So people that are unsatisfied with the Google Nexus 1, it's been blamed sometimes on T-Mobile's inferior 3G coverage, software bugs, blah blah blah. Google basically has just said there's no longer working on further engineering improvements. So they're just throwing their arms up and saying, sorry, dude, it's not going to help you.
But you know what? To be fair, I spent some time with a friend of mine's Nexus 1. I feel like I'm like dating that. It's so weird. I spent some time with it this last weekend. We went to Spago. I spent some time with it, and he was like, the one thing, and I've never seen anybody physically do this in person, and I was shocked. He's like, the one thing that bugs me about the Nexus 1 is this. He goes, look at my phone. And he goes, this is 3G, and it had the 3G stuff lit up. And he goes like this to the bottom of the phone, and then 3G goes out. And he goes, this is not 3G. And then he lifts up his hand, and it came back.
Crazy.
This is not 3G. And I was like, you have got to be kidding me. And he was like, that is my one problem.
That is crazy.
He's like, that's my one problem with the phone. Like, I wish it didn't do that. He's like, and I was like, I don't know. I was like, I don't know if they're going to fix that. And then I read that story and I was like, oh my God, like but apparently this is a very small percentage of Nexus 1 users. So they're just saying, well, it's just you. Like, since it's not a large percentage, it must be something you're doing.
Interesting.
So we're not going to look into it.
It sounds like the Xbox 360 thing to me.
Yeah.
With the red ring of death.
Yeah, where they're like, well, it's user error. Sorry.
Yeah. I mean,
not gonna deal with that.
So it's got to be hardware. Like some are defective or they're getting weak signal strength and they can't fix hardware anymore. It's released, so.
Well, I wonder if it has anything to do with the case. I mean, how much of the case on that Nexus 1 is aluminum, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, and that's like a lot of people are saying that the combination of that with putting your hand over the top of the antenna it just kills 3G reception. So, go figure. I don't know.
Cool. All right, next story. Google brings free turn-by-turn navigation to UK Android devices.
Yay.
So, overnight in Great Britain, suddenly iPhone users found that they woke up to their phones talking to them, and turn left, turn right, as appropriate.
Yeah, we like that navigation.
So basically the Google Maps navigation it's all free too, by the way. So there's a lot of apps that people can buy.
Well, that's because they're socialist. I'm just kidding.
No, I mean that's
but
great.
It's in Ireland too. There's a difference between the UK and Ireland. Remember?
Yeah. So.
So do we know? So that's only in the UK, but not here, I guess.
Not here yet.
I think I have turn-by-turn navigation.
Yeah, there's turn-by-turn through Verizon. I mean, like a lot of them have their own proprietary nav.
Oh, okay.
Mine's
Google Maps has
Maps,
navigation. Yeah, Google Maps has navigation. I think this is just that they finally
Maps.
got their own version of navigation, because I don't know that the carriers in the UK have like proprietary turn-by-turn.
Yeah.
So when Google finally gave them,
I think they just made their way. Yeah, this has made its way across the Atlantic. So
So basically, saying that
so finally
it's the same thing we've had
free
here for
Google Maps navigation. Yeah.
They've been really working on spreading that out to a lot of stuff. They announced it's coming to the iPhone too.
Mm-hmm. No, it's not. Wait, I thought I just read a story where they said tough luck for the iPhone.
No, they said it's coming.
I heard it was coming. That was a while ago.
I've heard something in between that, which is that they were like, it's coming to the iPhone, but it won't have as much like in-depth functionality. Like a lot of the times, like when you see something on the iPhone for Google, it's not as like polished.
Do you think Google's actually, stunting the stuff that they're releasing for the iPhone?
I hope so. Just saying.
Jeff makes
absolutely.
no secret.
That's true. Well, why would you give your competitor a flourishing, fully functional product that you want to kind of protect on your own operating system? I mean,
it's kind of like when Microsoft had Lotus 123, or they're working on the new version of Windows, and their motto was, if it's not done, if Lotus won't run, or something like that. Basically, they're saying they actively were making the operating system so that Lotus 123 didn't work, and they could promote their own spreadsheet programs. So.
Right, exactly.
So.
Well, the one difference, though, is that Google actually makes money on advertising, though,
That's
whereas
true.
Microsoft's business model stopped at that point.
Right,
which is
why they would make the app, but they
Yeah.
wouldn't necessarily give it full functionality that you would see on an Android phone.
True, just good enough.
Breaking news, there was a announcement by a Google spokesperson that said they're actually not going to be bringing it to the iPhone right away. They're focusing on other platforms first. Then they'll think about the iPhone.
Yeah, that's what I read. That's what
That seems about right to me.
Other platforms. What does that even mean?
Probably Windows Mobile 7.
Ford Fiesta.
Windows Mobile 7, probably. And the Fiesta.
Yeah.
So that I can have my LAR and my windshield. Where's that
Google
in and
just
out?
have their hands on that Ford Fiesta SDK. That's taking up all their time.
That's serious business. That is serious business. Okay.
All right, so next story here, an Android device for Scrooge McDuck.
Pretty much, yeah.
So basically, there's a new phone called the Ulysses Nardin Chairman. I like that. The Chairman. My phone is the Chairman.
I have the Android Chairman.
Yeah. And it's a Uber limited edition handset for the unspeakably rich. Only 1,846 units. I'm not sure how they arrived at that particular number. But basically, it's a completely luxury Android device. Available in steel, stealth, and various other precious metals. The phone ships with a lacquered wood charging station. And so it's pretty much.
I have to laugh at that. It's so That's overly luxurious. That's ridiculous.
I don't know. The screen's only 3.2 inches.
Yeah, see, and that's the thing. The phone is not even that great. Like, if they're like, it's an 8-megapixel camera. Yeah, exactly. But like, my phone's made of solid gold. Like,
hello, welcome to my Android.
It's just like people who buy Bang & Olufsen like devices. It's just like you're not really getting. It's a phone. Like it's a home phone that's in the shape of a giant banana.
So there's no word on the price. Yeah, they've not told us what the price is, which is unfortunate because that's of course what we all want to know.
I believe the price is always inquire.
Yeah, exactly. If you have to ask.
Which means if you have to ask, you can't afford
you.
it. You're not going to buy one.
Yeah,
it's hideous. Everyone in the chat room, ugly, so ugly. It's gross looking. It's like gold plated, and it's just so
but it's
gaudy.
handcrafted by Swiss watchmakers or something.
If Snooki was like a rich socialite instead of like Jersey Shore, like she would have that phone. Like, yeah, totally.
Nice.
So, well, that's the part of the news that we're gonna have you guys on, and we have another guest coming on Skype. So we're gonna say bye to you guys, Lane and Dave.
Yeah, thanks
Why
for
don't you go ahead
having
and plug your show?
And hopefully you guys can talk a little bit about the Apple acquiring ARM, that kind of stuff.
Yes, I want to talk a little. Actually, well, let's talk about that.
Yeah.
So Apple acquired ARM.
Well, not yet.
They're basically saying it's coming. They're gonna, and so do you think that means that they're gonna have to go to? Well, I saw an Android product that had I think it was the tablet for Dell that was not running on an ARM, and I wonder if that's because they're trying to diversify.
Yeah, it's interesting because a lot of what we've seen is that a lot of these tablets, they're kind of starting to go to the Intel Atom processors, and they're looking into Intel a little more because 98% of cell phones run on an ARM chip.
Mm-hmm. We talked about Intel last week when they were saying they wanted to start getting Intel into your Android phones.
Yep.
So,
because I mean, ARM is licensed to 98% of phones. And if Apple controls that, then that is a big.
But yeah, all these Tegra 2 chips that are coming out, like the Atom tablet.
Mm-hmm. I think the Dell tablet runs on Tegra as well.
Yeah, I mean it's like the Snapdragon right now. That's going to be the processor for Android tablets.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it makes you wonder though, like what Google's response to this is, like because they have to be aware that if ARM gets licensed to Apple, that there's this huge chunk of phones that are somehow no longer viable. I don't know what Apple would do with it, but
I think it's in the same sense as Google buying AdMob. Like they sort of feel like I have a feeling that this is sort of like a tit for tat thing where it's like, okay, well you took away AdMob from us, so we're gonna do this. It seems like that sort of.
It almost feels to me more like a vertical integration thing because this is really the second chip buyer that they've acquired.
Right. PA Semi.
Yeah.
And Google actually this week acquired a company that spun off of that company that makes chips and
I read that
TV kind of stuff. So that might be their first kind of.
It was a lot of ex-Apple employees. They picked up a company that like a lot of. It was a spin-off of it was good stuff. Very interesting.
So there's a lot of movement in the processor field, which is funny.
And I think we'll continue to see more. Especially with the economy the way it is, a lot of companies are either looking to be bought or.
Yeah. You got to remember too. I mean, Google is not natively a hardware company.
Yeah.
And we've seen one of the stories we discussed. They really fumble a few things because of that.
Because of that, right?
Apple is a hardware company. It's been in their DNA
That's
from
what
the beginning.
Do.
So yeah.
Well, and I think one of our chat group people, Sam Ben Salem, is like the void will be filled by somebody else. I'm sure. Like you were saying with Tegra, like it'll be filled by someone else, I'm sure, but it'll be interesting to see how it affects just mobile units in general.
Yeah.
Tegra is an ARM processor too, though.
Are they really?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like this new platform that all these Android tablets are coming out on are ARM processors. Yeah. They're dual core, but they're still ARM.
Okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Again, like I said, always forgive my ignorance on this show. I'm always like, really? No. Wow, I learn something new every day. That's very nice. The whole thing is like watching the Cold War all over again. I agree. So, you guys, we're going to let you go, but plug your show. Tell everybody where we can find you, where we can see you, what you guys are up to.
Yeah, we the people watching this would be interested in the AndroidAppShow.com and the Android Tech Show. We do those two shows every Sunday. And before that, we do the iPhone App Show and the iPad Show. which has been huge recently. So,
Yep, covered everything we can.
trying to.
Yeah. And you guys, we can find you on Twitter at Android App Show, Android Tech Show.
Yep.
So if for those enterprising Twitterers who are looking to add some more tech folk to their lexicon of tweeters.
Their menagerie of tweeters.
Tweeters.
There we go.
But I don't even. So there's got to be some like
Tweeto
cool.
decks.
Like, yeah, exactly. They're Twitterati.
Yes, Twitterati.
I'm gonna start adding Audi to everything now. I'm gonna be like, that's it. That's what I'm gonna do.
It's an old beam, but welcome to it.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. I'm always late to the game. I'm always the last one to know about everything. Yeah, thanks guys. Dave and Lane from the Android App Show.
Thanks for
having
having
us.
Thanks,
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah, I'm sure you guys will be on again.
Anytime.
All right. Well, we have one more news story that I want to talk about, and this is. I'll jump in on this one. It's Android is being taught in middle school programming class,
Wow.
Which is really cool. And so this gentleman, Josh Beck, who is an advanced programming teacher at Kruger Middle School in San Antonio, Texas, has been incorporating Android programming lessons into his curriculum. So one of his students, about a week and a half ago or so, on the 13th, one of his students, who is 14 years old, was the first kid in his class to publish his first app in the market.
So the kids are making money.
He's a week later, he's already made $50.
Wow. Oh, that's
So-
pretty cool. See, we
Good
couldn't
deal.
do that.
Yeah.
No,
know.
I feel like I'm like, wow, these 14-year-old kids are like so much smarter than me. They're like making apps and like making money.
Jeez.
I'm like, God, what am I doing with my life? It's just an animated wallpaper. So and it's
He's made $50, so that's something.
yeah, which is
Especially
really
when you're
cool. And so
school.
so we actually have Josh Beck, the teacher, on Skype with us. So
Hello?
are we ready to Skype in Josh?
Yeah, maybe.
I was going to say, we're working on the screen there. But, yeah, so San Antonio, Texas, of all the places in the world where you'd be guessing that Android programming is being taught to 8th graders, not necessarily the place I would have guessed.
Yeah, but that's pretty awesome, though. You can.
Makes sense though. I mean, if you're gonna teach somebody, you might as well teach them something useful.
Right,
so
and
some
teach them when
dead
they're
language.
young.
Yeah,
like,
so,
yeah,
like,
and
basic or whatever.
there's so much of a demand for.
There's a lot of computer science. I mean, you have a computer CS degree, don't you?
As a minor.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So I have a CS degree, but we learned a lot of like sort of useless languages.
Yeah.
There's sort of Fortran, for example.
Dead languages.
Like the Latin of computer science languages, and it's used by some people, but not in the commercial world for the most part. So.
Yeah. So we have. Are we good yet? We ready?
I'm
hey,
ready, if you can hear me.
how you
Yeah, we
doing,
got it.
Josh?
Hi there, how are you?
Good. Thanks for coming on the show today.
Thanks, you have an excellent show. I've enjoyed watching it. I've been watching for the last 2 hours. I watched last week's episode, and you have an excellent panel. It's been very informative.
Oh, well, thanks. I wish you were closer because we would have just had you come in and sit in on the studio, and you could have chatted. You could have chat with us for the whole show. It would have been great.
A friend of mine asked if you were going to fly me out to California. My brother lives out there. Unfortunately not.
Yeah. No, I wish we could fly like people in and like. I mean, man, we've talked to so many people. We talked to a developer. Well, the developer of Fly Screen was in Israel, and so some really cool people. But let's talk about what you're doing. I tell us a little bit about when you started doing this, and I think we might have a little bit of lag, but tell us when you started doing this and kind of what you guys have going on over there in San Antonio, Texas.
Well, we have a magnet school that's we draw from different elementary schools around the district. We're called KSAT IMAC. We do rocketry and technology. We've been building up the program over the last decade. I've only been a part of it for the last 5 years. We do a lot of multimedia, broadcasting, web design. We teach the kids. We have a vertically aligned technology curriculum that starts in 6th grade and moves up through the 8th grade. So by the time the kids leave in 8th grade, they're proficient with like Dreamweaver, Adobe CS3. We work with a whole host of like open source tools. We use the GIMP for photo editing. Anything open source. We've got a couple of labs that run Ubuntu Linux. So by the time the kids are in 8th grade, they've got this level of technology literacy that's far and above pretty much any other middle school student that might be around them or might be coming out of another middle school. Last year, I started looking at Android, and it's such a great platform that I just started teaching myself for fun. Most of the things that I just write for fun, and if it's any good or I think it's any good, I'll put 99 cents on it. I write small, simple programs. I taught myself, about the platform and how it works, and I thought, well, this would be a really great thing to bring into the classroom. So I petitioned my director to buy 3 developer phones, and I began writing the curriculum, and this year we've been working with it in the classroom. The kids love it.
Very cool.
So what's sort of the prerequisite to get into the Android class? Like, you
have to get my signature. What I do is the kids. There's a line a mile long right now of students that want to get in.
Oh yeah.
And so what I do is I take a look at their grade point average. I interview the students. I take a few minutes and I catch them and I talk to them. I ask them why they want to take the class. Whether or not they're interested in programming, because it takes a lot of internal motivation. The students have to want to learn about it, and they have to be able to tackle the subject matter. So based on the number of students that apply, I'll select between 17 and 20 to take the class. Right now, it's just one class period of my school day. The rest of the periods I teach web design and multimedia.
Very cool. And so one of our viewers in our chat room wants a little more information. Could you talk a little bit about how something like this program you guys are doing can be scaled to all schools nationwide? Because I think that there's such a lack of science and engineering majors. There's such a demand for that, and I think this is something that gets kids involved and excited about engineering and programming and science in a really fun way and in a really interactive way.
And a really profitable way.
And a profitable way, right. You give,
and these you're 14 and you're making cash like
and you're
that?
making cash, right. And it's such a great incentive. So, do you think that, because, for me, I would imagine that this should be, how could you scale this to a nationwide program?
Yeah.
I agree. I think that this is something that definitely gets the kids invested. It gives them a reason to come to school. The students that are in my class that are doing this, they find reasons to come to my class before school, after school. If they finish their work early in another class, they'll get a pass. Hey, Mr. Beck, can I sit down and work on my program? So they really do like it, and it really does get kids invested in school and their education. First of all, you need a teacher that's experienced, that understands the subject matter. And also someone who's a good classroom manager, and those are hard things to come by.
Yeah.
It's hard to find someone who really understands programming and also is a good classroom manager. So pairing those two things is what it takes to really have a successful technology classroom at the middle school level. The high school, maybe it might be a little bit different, but I think a core understanding of the platform is something that you would look for in someone who would teach a class like this.
What kind of differences do you see teaching the Android stuff programming versus just some sort of generic programming? In terms of student interaction, do kids get really excited about this versus some other language, or is it the same?
Last year, we did a unit on PHP, and what we did was we spent the entire second semester creating PHP web pages that interface with a MySQL database. Mm-hmm. And the kids wrote a card game where you would basically press a button, it would flip 3 cards, and depending on if you got a match, the user would win points or lose points, and that users would have logins and passwords, and it was a role-based kind of a system. The students enjoyed writing the app, and they came to class, and the end product was something that they were proud of, but they weren't necessarily really excited about it. Android, on the other hand, the students see a lot of value in. And so I see a lot of internal motivation. I see the students really invested in what they do. They come to me all the time with ideas. I get student emails over the weekends and in the evenings with questions. Hey, Mr. Beck, how do I do this? How do I do that? So they're not just doing it in my class and at school. When they get home, they're also, opening up the development environment and sort of hacking through it.
That's pretty cool. Do many of them have Android phones?
Yeah, I've got one student. His name is Aaron Quash. He's a really smart kid, and he carries a Windows 7 mobile phone that runs a version called Vogue, and it's got like a stylus. I don't know if you're familiar with the model.
Wow.
While the rest of the class was working on sort of we were working with basic like OpenGL live wallpapers. He was sort of hunched over in the corner researching how to install Android on the Vogue. And so we spent about 2 weeks just hacking through it, trying to get the thing up. And finally, 2 days ago, he brought Android up, and he walks up to my desk with Android running on. He goes, "Hey, Mr. Beck, look, I did it," And he was just thrilled. Awesome. He sticks the SD card in, and he's got a choice. One SD card boots Windows Mobile 7, the other one boots Android. So, and and some of we've got 3 development phones in the class. I've got my wife's old phone, so that's 4 that the kids can work with in class. And I think that as the years go on, more and more students will have them just in the class with them, as a matter of just it being a normal device.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Google is being really friendly with its app developers. They've been offering like developers Nexus 1s to tinker around with. So
I got one.
Google, if you're listening, this would be a great opportunity to get some young developers going. Send some phones out there.
I would absolutely love to get some classroom phones from Google. They sent me one as an app developer. I was thrilled to get it. But I think that these kids, one of the problems that we have right now, or one of the, obstacles we sort of overcome on a daily basis, is all of my phones run 1.5. Except for my Nexus 1. And, it's no longer my Nexus 1. It's become the Nexus 1, So they all sort of access it, and they all want to sort of test their stuff out on it. So I'd love to get some phones that actually run the state-of-the-art operating system. That'd be great.
Cool.
Well, I think you're doing something really great, not only for, kids and for education in general, like getting kids involved in science and getting them excited about it. And like we said earlier, the incentivizing of, hey, if you write a really good app, you can make money. Like if you work hard.
They're learning about entrepreneurialness.
Yeah,
at the same time, which is pretty
launching
awesome.
their own app. I mean, that's great. And
a big part of it is the students have to set up their own business. They have to go to the IRS and declare an employer identification number.
Yeah.
And they have to, get set up so that they can pay taxes at the end of the year. And that's an education.
Yeah.
No,
it's cheating.
So, yeah, there's a lot that goes along with it. You asked earlier about how other teachers might be able to do this or get involved, and that's something that I'm interested in helping other teachers. All they have to do is contact me. I'm documenting my lessons on linuxclassroom.com through YouTube. So I don't document every single thing that we do. But what I do is as I go through and I create a good structured lesson, I'll walk through it using a screencast. So I've got a lot of my basic, setup and development videos there on linuxclassroom.com. Other teachers can go there and kind of get an idea of how to set up the development environment and at least get their classes started.
Yeah, that's cool. That's so great. That really makes me so happy. Because I know when I was 14, I would have loved to have had an opportunity. I know some kids who do like you were saying a rocketry, and they do that.
Yeah.
But for somebody who's not necessarily interested in that particular facet of it, doing something like Android, especially when it's such an open operating system, this is a great opportunity to develop young minds and get them, get them ready for a career in the sciences and get them excited about it. Because so many people are like, oh, science, I hate science, and it's now more than ever, we need people in sciences, computer science, energy, and everything.
Yeah.
And and the concepts taught with Android, they apply to a lot of different areas. If you can program in Java, you've got a good head start on C, C++. Realistically, any direction. If you can program an Android device, you can program other things.
Yeah, that's true.
Right.
So it's and the students see that and they understand that what they're doing isn't just necessarily specific to Android. It has a wider application. So
Cool.
yes, I agree.
Very nice. Well, we are going to put up your information on our This Weekend website.
That's right.
So for those of you who want to learn a little bit more about the program that Josh has going on over in San Antonio with Android programming and middle schoolers, feel free to head on over to our website at thisweekend.com and pick Android from our drop-down list and check it out. And Josh Beck, thank you so much.
Well, thank you for your time. You guys have a great show. You have just gained a loyal fan here. So thank you very much.
Well, thanks. And feel free to show your students our show. Tell them to watch.
I might just make it a part of my curriculum.
That would be great.
Right.
I would be excited.
We would love to have some of them on as guests.
Yeah, no kidding. I'd love to talk to, you said you have one student who made $50 on a wallpaper.
Several. I have 3 or 4 students with apps on the market. The reason why I published Christian's picture was because he was the first. But I have several students that are very talented, like graphic designers. They're really good with After Effects, Flash, creating animated GIFs and things. And when you pair that with some of the frameworks we're put together to, for example, live wallpapers, I have several students that are very talented and are putting together some pretty neat stuff. So not just one, there's several.
That's so cool.
Yeah. I sent some apps of the week coming up.
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome.
We'll be
thank
in
you.
touch, and definitely keep up the good work, shaping young minds. You sound like a great teacher, and I'm sure all those kids are really lucky to have you.
Well, I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thanks.
I want to make one last point. I was going to say, it's almost like cheating, you know, like you're teaching them about taxes and business while pretending to teach them about programming on a phone.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to teach you how to pay taxes. Okay, well, that was our news for the day, and I have what many of you have been asking me about all week. Like I said,
Finally, we get to hear this thing.
I know.
You wouldn't tell us
I got
anything.
to review the Droid Incredible this last week, and so the fine folks at HTC and Wagner Edgstrom were kind enough and crazy enough to send me a review Droid Incredible. So I reviewed it, and I made you guys a little video, and
I can't wait to see this.
The full review.
We've not seen this yet. So.
I know, they haven't seen it yet. The full review is up on androidashley.tumblr, TUMBLR.com. It's quite a bit longer and more in depth than what I have here, which is a pretty short, basic. It's like 7 minutes long, where I talk about the phone and everything. So hopefully everyone will enjoy it, and if not, I'm sure I'll be amused just because it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and roll that beautiful, incredible footage. Hey everybody, I am in my home about to give you my video impressions of the HTC Incredible. That's right, somebody thought it was a good idea to send me one, and I've been using it for the last week and wanted to tell you what I thought about it. To be honest, I wasn't really sure about the back of the phone here, but because if you can see that, it's got those real weird kind of ridges. When I first saw pictures of this, I was very confused and thought it was hideous, to be quite honest. But now that I've actually had it in my hand, I will say that it does feel quite a bit sturdier than my Palm Pre. You can see the HTC branding. Also, I really love the red ring around there, but the secret is the reason why that camera has that red accent is because the whole inside of the phone is red.
All right, so it looks like we have some technical difficulties.
Nose. Okay, so we're gonna have an impromptu review.
Live, yeah.
Right.
We're gonna see it live.
Just pick it up from where we
So
left
what
off.
I was trying to show everybody was, okay, I'll show them what just this real quick thing. We're having our tech people work on it. It's red.
So that's
really
the whole inside.
red.
So you just took the cover off. And
This
it's
is the
all
back
inside.
cover. It's red. This is
Wow.
the battery right here. Red, bright red, Ferrari red even.
Yeah.
It goes faster when it's red.
It does, yeah. They're always like, I feel
The
like
red makes it better.
I felt like I was getting the Ferrari of phones. It was like
Wow.
kind of exciting, and of course matches very nicely the Verizon color scheme, black and red.
There you go.
So that's the back of the phone, and actually something that I didn't talk about in the review is this right here, really tinily, is the micro SD thing. But when you put on the cover, it's actually covered. You can't just pop it out.
I
It's
see. That's
hidden.
nice.
So I actually think it's a really good feature. I've heard some people say they didn't like that
Yeah.
because they like to be able to pull their card in and out and everything. But for me, yeah, exactly. Don't leave it in a bar somewhere.
Right.
Trust me, I told the people at HTC, I was like, I don't want to give it back because I have to send this back. It's a review unit. But yeah, I need to not lose this at a bar. I'm not gonna go out drinking tonight. I have to make sure
Yeah.
to stay away from bars on.
Yeah.
But good thing my birthday just passed. That's good. But yeah, the micro SD. A lot of people were complaining about how it was sort of like inconvenient for them, and for me, like I would rather have it protected in that
you
way.
get stuff inside it otherwise.
Because I don't know anybody who actually like pulls their micro SD card out of their phone like while they're just like in transit somewhere. Like it seems like such a strange thing. The camera bevel. Are you, Jay Praz, are you talking about the back of the phone where it's got that sort of bezel there?
Yeah.
Like I was saying in the review, I was really expecting this to be a huge pain, and like actually the more that I have it, the more I like it because the phone feels really sturdy. Like I don't feel like I'm going to drop it. And with my Pre, it's got the shiny back.
Yeah, it feels like a little.
And it's and it feels very fragile in your hand. And this does not feel fragile at all. The camera bezel or the bevel hasn't stuck in my pocket. I tend to carry my phone in my back pocket, so. But yeah, it's not grainy or gritty, so that's nice. But it's just enough of a grip to where you don't feel like it's just going to slide right out of your hand.
Yeah, when I first got not to bring the iPhone up again, but when I first got my iPhone, I found I put it down somewhere. It was like air hockey. It would just go flying across the room.
Well, and the Pre's the same way. I mean, you can spin the Pre around in a circle, and it'll just keep going and going and going.
Yeah, it's too slippery.
No, Droid's good.
No, I do not sit on my phone. Jay Frost is like, you sit on it. That's good to know. I take it out of my pocket and put it on a table. But I always like to have it in my back pocket. Although I will admit I get really nervous. Like if I have to use the restroom, I'm like, oh God, it's going to fall in the toilet.
Right.
So of course, I shouldn't even be saying that on show. But yeah, like it's really sturdy. And generally speaking, I hated this. The weird back cover. I saw the render and I was like, God, that's ugly. I was just like, oh, it's
But you
horrible.
feel differently about it now.
I totally do. Yeah. I like it. I'm glad it's that way. How's it going, guys? Good? Can we roll? We're gonna try it out? All right, let's try it out. Hey everybody, I am in my home about to give you my video impressions of the HTC Incredible. That's right, somebody thought it was a good idea to send me one, and I've been using it for the last week and wanted to tell you what I thought about it. To be honest, I wasn't really sure about the back of the phone here, but because if you can see that, it's got those real weird kind of ridges. When I first saw pictures of this, I was very confused and thought it was hideous, to be quite honest. But now that I've actually had it in my hand, I will say that it does feel quite a bit sturdier than my Palm Pre. You can see the HTC branding. Also, I really love the red ring around there, but the secret is, the reason why that camera has that red accent is because the whole inside of the phone is red. So when you unbox it, you get the red HTC battery. But overall, really nicely done on hardware. Okay, so we're gonna talk a little bit about the display now, which, let's all be real here. AMOLED is gorgeous. But the display, ultimately, it's 480 by 800 pixels, 3.7 inches. Everything that you do on this phone is a delight visually. So what's the downside to AMOLED? Let's talk about that. The downside to AMOLED is that AMOLED, as I say on my blog, has a kryptonite, and that is Earth's yellow sun. If you walk outside with this thing on a sunny day, you will not see anything on the screen at all. It is impossible to answer a phone call. It is impossible to see who's calling you. It is impossible to check your updates. It's impossible to do anything on your phone unless you have a photographic memory and can remember exactly where everything is on your screen. Now, I can officially never use a point and shoot again. I'm going to show you guys how to take a picture with this. I'm going to use my lovely dog model, Bailey. Come here, Bailey. Bailey, sit. Good girl. Okay, this is Bailey. Bailey's gonna take a picture with the camera. Sit right here. No, we can't cuddle. Right here, sit. Cookie. Sit. Right here. No. And you have to take a picture with the optical wheel. Thank you, Bailey. You have to take a picture with the optical wheel. You can't take one, you can see sort of the viewfinder here. You can't take a picture with on-screen. There's no on-screen button. Sometimes that can be really aggravating. More because, especially in low light situations, you can jostle and then all of a sudden your picture's blurry and then you're annoyed. Unfortunately, the problem with shooting real life subjects is that flashes can wash people out. And shooting somebody at night in a dark club or a bar or a venue makes it impossible to not wash out their skin tone, and everybody looks like Casper the Friendly Ghost. Unfortunate. I think the camera, it really makes it head and shoulders above the rest of other phones that are out there, including the Nexus One. It's the one thing that you can't get quality-wise on the Nexus One. Everything else is pretty close, or equal, but you cannot get that camera on the Nexus One. So now let's talk about battery life. My God, how terrible. Storage-wise, you get 8 gigs of onboard storage, which is fantastic. The micro SD card right now supports up to an additional 16 gigabytes. They're saying in over-the-air updates coming that will support 32 gigabyte micro SD cards, but as of right now, does not support 32 gigabyte micro SD. So hold off on buying that micro SD. Little bit of hardware background. We're looking at 1 gigahertz Snapdragon processor. This thing will quite literally give you the most fluid Android experience that exists right now. There's no way to top it. If you own an Android phone and you're not on 2.1 yet, you are in for number one, you're in for a treat. And number two, you are in for kind of a sad depression, because you will see somebody else's phone that is on Android either 1.5 or 1.6, and you will just say, I don't know how I lived without 2.1. And I feel the same way about Sense UI. I don't know how I lived without it before. Again, I've never experienced any crashes on the phone. The whole week that I've had it, I've never experienced any glitches. The phone runs super smooth, no lag at all in any area. I've done plenty of things on this phone to push it, and I have not had one bit of lag, which is fantastic, quite frankly. And it's so thin. Look at this thing. It's so light and it's so thin, and it's just a great phone. It feels sturdy. It doesn't feel cheap. I definitely think that the $199 price point with a 2-year agreement on Verizon is really icing on the cake, because this phone feels like it's worth more. It rocks. The Droid Incredible is the phone to beat right now. I don't know how long that's going to last, because quite frankly, when the Evo comes out, let's all be real, that phone's going to be so kick-ass. But if you're not waiting for the Evo, if your contract is up on Verizon, if you're looking to jump ship from another carrier, come get this phone. You need it. And Bailey likes it too. Oh, Bailey. Yes. Bailey says it's an incredible for me. So that's my review, and I hope you enjoyed it. Well, that was my review.
Very well done. I'm not paying the dog, though. Sorry.
That's fine. You don't have to pay the dog. I feed her in peanuts and biscuits. She's very silly. So.
Just doing it for the fame.
Yeah, she totally is.
That's what it is.
My dog is a fame whore, a big one. So she's definitely desperate for attention, at least. But that is our show for the day. We ran a little long, but I really wanted to. Everything with Josh, I really wanted to ask him a whole bunch of questions, and it actually ended up being its own segment. So really cool, though. So I would like to thank Dave and Lane, obviously, first of the Android App Show. You can find them on Twitter at Android App Show. Josh Beck of Kruger Middle School for coming and talking to us about his program. As always, so be still my beating heart for my co-hosts, Mark Jeffrey,
yes,
Jeff
well.
Ammons. You can find them on Twitter at at Mark Jeffrey, and at Jeff Ammons.
Also, if you are interested in hosting the show, we now have a full-time person who is, or sorry, not hosting. Sorry, you looked at me with horror.
Oh my God! I was like,
sponsor.
If you're
Sorry about that.
Freudian
Big
slip,
slip.
I'm being
No,
fired.
nothing like that.
Oh my God!
I meant sponsoring. Send an email. I know the look of horror in your face.
I was just like, what?
I'm like, what are you talking about? You'll love this.
If you're interested in hosting the show,
right? So we
we'll
have
get her
a
right
full-time gentleman on board now. If you're interested in sponsoring, email mo at thisweekend.com. So it's mo@thisweekend.com. He'll be more than happy to help you out.
And he's a really nice guy.
Great guy.
I mean, just we'll be super cool with you, answer every question you have. You can find me on Twitter at AndroidAshley. And thank you to all of our lovely viewers this week. As always, every week, it's nice to have you and our regulars in the chat room and any new people in the chat room. Thanks for coming by. And I have to say, special aside, it's my grandpa's birthday today, and he's my favorite person in the whole world. So happy birthday, Tata. And check out our other shows on thisweekend.com. We have This Week in Venture Capital, This Week in iPad, This Week in Cloud Computing, This Week in Startups, This Week in Twitter, and of course, Streamy Award-winning Kevin Pollak's Chat Show.
Absolutely.
Sundays. That's it. I mean, really good.
Great show.
All the shows are great.
Yep.
So check out our other shows on thisweekend.com. And I'm Ashley Esqueda, Mark Jeffrey, Jeff Ammons. That's been This Week in Android. We'll see you next week.